Jim, what is the time like? How much time do you have left?
We got time for another poem if you'd like to read it.
Well, this one is one. This is kind of like, I'll just let you know, I've just actually recorded this poem, and it's here at the table beside me. And I wasn't gonna read it because I had recorded it. And that was, I was saying, well, and a group in Ventura, I don't know whether you know any of the Ventura poets, but they did a project this past summer in August. It was called the Ventura County Poetry Project, I think. Anyway, they invited 14 poets of color to record a poem for them. They videotaped the poem and they put it together. It was called Dear America. And it first started out, you can't turn a blind eye. And then they sort of, while the project was still running, they changed the name to Black Lives Matter. And this poem, I might have picked up the wrong one. I really want to read it, and I'm fooling around with the papers as I'm standing here, because when I'm going to read a poem, I have to blow it up real big.
I can relate.
And so I have this one here. If you just excuse me for a second. Is there somebody that can say, does anybody have a little poem to read because I want to read you this poem. If you have a little poem that you could read.
Janice,
Jim, I don't mean to take over your reading. I'm just.
Janice, you want to jump in here?
Victoria.
Sure, I have two little ones. Okay.
All right.
This is original. It's called My Mother's Hands, and it's sort of a quatrain. 1, a soft pencil moistened on her tongue to add up a column of numbers on a brown grocery bag. My mother's hands, fingers calloused from packing groceries, lugging cartons across the floor, counting out change. 2, over the wash tub, scrubbing, dirt from shirts and sheets. My mother's hands wet with soap, up and down the washboard, wringing, twisting, droplets of dreams. 3, become a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher. My mother's hands knit sweaters, held books as she read to me, her grandchildren, hugged me, caressed my babies. 4, softened with age, my mother's hands reposed in death. And I wrote that in response to a workshop I attended for the last 4 weeks with a woman named Vanessa Jimenez Gab, and we talked about women's work. So this is the result of it. But I came across this poem by Gwendolyn Brooks, and I thought I would share it today. It's not original, it's by Gwendolyn Brooks. The pool players 7 at the Golden Shovel. You know it. Do you know it, Sojouner? Well, I hope I do it justice. It really resonated to me. We real cool. We left school. We lurk late. We strike straight. We sing sin. We thin gin. We jazz June. We die soon. Thank you, Jim.
Is there another one?
That's fine. Thank you.
I live in the house of poems. Yeah, okay.
Do you need more time?
So I still have, all right. No, I'm fine here. Okay. So what I'm going to read, this poem is a little bit different. It's from my book called Black Street. And it's probably more of what it still is about young people. You know what I mean? I feel like I always get back to the young people. It's called Call Down the Trees. And my tune has changed on this poem. When I wrote this poem, it was kind of like a lament that I felt like we older people have been struggling for so long, and that we keep hoping that the young people would take up our cause, that we will continue them, and that we keep saying, okay, you got to pick up the gauntlet and, carry it the next level, what your thing is. And so I feel in this moment, in this time, especially of Black Lives Matter and this worldwide movement of the reckoning. I feel our young people have stepped up. Young people all over the world have stepped up. But the first part of this poem was written at a time when I was really wondering, when are you guys going to show? So anyway, but it takes a turn in there. And so this is what I would call a Black History Month poem, okay? It's Call Down the Trees. And it has an epigraph. I felt a whole nation rising up within me. And that's actually a quote from Sojourner Truth. Trees, seedlings planted 20 years ago, you expect to have sprouted and grown into tree. Yet no tree presents itself in the forest. No rumble across the earth as a sign, or traveling through air 35 score or otherwise. You have to let the generations be. Call down the saints of antiquity and the angels of the realm. Call down your guardians of continuity and your bulwarks of the rain. You gotta call down the trees. Maybe they was a palm or a maple, or maybe they was an evergreen. Call down the past days and the last poets. Call down the mighty oaks and the mighty, mighty dales. Call down the healing karite and the sacred akoko. Call down the hardest mahoganies and the strongest ebonies. Call down the tallest pines. Call down the strongest minds. Call down the seedling crushed beneath some sightless boot. Call down the weakest one. Let their ounce of strength rise up like Sojourner's nation rising up inside of her. Call down your mama and your mama's mama. Call down the drums. Call down the juju and the djembe. Call down the bongos and the congos. Call down the drummers. Call down King Bay and Sunny Ade. Call down Mongo and Tito. Let the talking drum talk. Call down the griots. Call down Jumbo the elephant and the turtle. Old Turtle the turtle. Call down the intercessors, call down the intoners, call down Daddy Grace and Father Divine. Call down Minister Muhammad and Reverend Cleage, call down the whole dang race. Call down the singers, call down James Weldon Johnson and James Cleveland, call down Paul Robeson and Roland Hayes, call down Nina Simone, call down James Brown. Call down the tender memories of Motown, call down Minnie Riperton, call down Tammy Terrell, call down Florence Ballard. Call down the divas of the dance hall, call down Josephine Baker, call down Pearl Primus, call down Judy Jameson to dance revelations, call down the prima donnas, call down Marian Anderson, call down Mahalia Jackson, call down Ella Fitzgerald, call down Lady Day, Dinah Washington, Pearl Bailey, call down Sassy Sarah Vaughan. Even in the here and now, you're gonna have to call on Aretha. She'll tell you a rose grows somewhere. There's hope in the valley, but ain't no crystal stair to heaven. Call Gladys, she'll tell you to take a train to Georgia. Call Mavis, she'll take you there. Call on Leontine and Jessie, original divas. Call down the rivers, rampant in your veins, water from the Euphrates, manna from the skies. The earth will be plentiful, the roads will be rough. You can reap because seeds already been sown. You can walk because way already been hewn. Your place has been prepared. Call down your strength and your Redeemer. Call down hope and salvation. Call down the trees. And
love it. Yeah. Oh.
Like it's that, and I read that sitting down, so it has a different projection.
Yeah.
But I to say there's a little tad in there about the trees. It's like Maya Angelou, one of her great poems is called When Great Trees Fall. And that could have been a little bit of a spark for when I wrote that poem.
Call down Cicely Tyson.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
I want to say that you sounded a little like Maya in parts of the poem, like when you said Euphrates, and it was almost like you were channeling her. And then also, it was almost like an ancestral roll call at some point. I loved it. It was great. Just a great salute to Black History Month. Thank you.
So we give some more love to Sojourner, please, either snap or clap or however you want to do it. And, and Sojourner, we've had a tradition when we were at the Spacebar before the COVID, or when we were at another place called the Cafe Cabaret, which went out of business. We would pass. Jimmy said we got to pass the hat. We got to support. we got to support our artists. And then that's why he told me to make sure if someone has a book, they can talk about their book. And we would have a table where people could bring their books, and then we'd hang out afterwards and talk to a poet. So he wanted community. And I love the way you just included people for their comments. That Jimmy was all about that too. So we want to pass the hat now. Instead of this hat, in the chat room, you have a couple ways that you can put money in the hat for Sojourner. And one is on Zelle and one is on Apple Pay. And I have those numbers in the chat. So if you would like to help out, support our artist who's our feature today, please take advantage of that and please do that. And I just kind of did some maneuvering while you were reading to make sure that Apple Pay was in there for you. But I also I want to ask my sister Dolores, since this is Black History Month, and since I was in the Langston Hughes Poetry Circle here for 10 years, I was working on the reservation up on Rincon Reservation. And on every Tuesday night, I would drive an hour and a half down from the reservation to be part of this circle that was started by UC Quayana and his wife Chaiko. And Chaiko, rest in peace. She's not with us anymore. And so I thought it would be very appropriate if Dolores would now read for us the writers from some, not all of them, but some of the writers from the Harlem Renaissance back in the 1920s. And we could do this another way that we can honor Black History Month today. Look, Dolores Fisher, please.
All right. And so we read this yesterday with the revolutionary poets. And am I still unmuted?
No.
I changed over.
You're good.
Okay, I changed over to another thingy here. Okay, so Jean Toomer, I added a few. Charles S. Johnson, Sterling Brown, Arna Bontemps, Eric D. Walrond, and as we keep going, Elaine Locke, Augusta Savage, Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Claude McKay, James Weldon Johnson, and I, included that link, especially to his brother Rosamond Johnson, who did the classical version of his poem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, which, in various churches is done the gospel style, or with Philharmonic orchestras is done, and classical choirs is done in the concert style. I've actually played the piano accompaniment, and it's gorgeous. Georgia Douglas Johnson, Conti Cullen, Nella Larson, W.E.B. Du Bois, as we call him in the Black community, editor of The Crisis, Jesse Fawcett, and Wallace Thurman, only a few.
Yes, thank you. Very much.
So thank you so much, Dolores. I just, that was really important to me to do that. I've been talking to members of the Revolutionary Poets Brigade, and it's spelled capital R-E, capital E-V-O-L-U-N-T, the Revolutionary Poets Brigade. And we were named from Revolutionary Poets Brigade by Pilar Rodriguez Aranda, who's a member from Tijuana. We're the Tijuana Revolutionary Poets Brigade, Tijuana, San Diego Revolutionary Poets Brigade. So I haven't talked to all the members yet, but I said, let's be involved with the New Georgia Project and Seed the Vote, and let's call Georgia voters and try and flip the Senate. Let's be involved with doing poetry readings to educate voters. So we started doing that in 2019. We did about 6 or 7 of those. Some of those were at Enclave Caracol. If you look over the border in Tijuana, you see a big arch. And at the bottom of where that arch is planted in the earth is a wax museum. And right across from that wax museum is Enclave Caracol. They feed the homeless in Tijuana 4 days a week for free. And so we did poetry readings there. And so what I want to talk to all of our members about this year, okay, we got a good new president, new vice president, first African-American and Asian vice president woman. And then we helped flip the Senate. So what I want to concentrate on now is this police violence. that's killing unarmed people of color. And so what I want to do right now, before we finish our poets open mics, this book is called Black August, and it was put out last year by our sister, who is now in
Gloria.
Dallas, Gloria Verdue. And so this is what it says on this page. I'm not going to read all these people. There's so many of them. I can't get through all of them. I'm going to read some of them. This says, attached are the names of Black, brown, oppressed, and poor, stolen lives in San Diego, from Saigon Pen in 1985 to Dennis Carolino in 2019. This is a partial list because we will never know how many lives were stolen by police violence. The stolen lives in San Diego is a microcosm of the lives stolen in cities across the United States. Saigon Pen, 23. Dennis Coralino, 52. Kara Knott, 20. Mario Gastelum, 24. Tommy DuBose. Johnny Omario Douglas, 29. Richard A. Escatel, 28. John Nelson, 36. Isaac Einbach, 19. Richard Navarez, 34. Gabriel Mescal, Gabriel Selassie, 35. Geraldo Flores Valdivia, 28. Jose Luis Ramirez, 30. Harold Martin, 54. Jeffrey Goldstein, 33. Demetrius Dubose, 28. Raimundo Sanchez, 30. Fred Scott Horton, 40. Arturo Alberto Gonzalez, 28. Federico Adamne III, 27. Anthony Williford, 29. Michael Allen Thayer, 40. Jorge Robles, 29. Lionel Hernandez Guerrero, 22. Sonserra Holloway, 20. William Anthony Miller, 42. Juan Jose Aguilera, 20. Marshawn Washington, 36. Renee Lopez Vizue, 29. Cheryl Tate, 22. Clifford Daniels, 40. Gary Holdaway. Jermone Bowen, 27. Gabindo Benjamin Flores Sr., 60. Gregory J. Markley, 27. James Butler Allen. Arthur Daum. Thomas Miller, 44. Mario Eduardo Merino, 29. Larry Turner. Emmanuel Sotelo, 19. Alejandro Jimenez, 44. Billy Venable, 26. Jose Antonio Mendora. I like to show you what I just read. It's a half a page. I like to show you. I didn't read it. And so I believe we need to stop saying defund the police, and we need to start saying fund programs for nonviolent police. And that's what I'm going to be talking about the Evolutionary Poets Brigade to do this year. And I wanted to start that today during Black History Month. So please be generous to our feature. She's been very generous with her talent today. And I want to introduce our last poet for the day. And somebody once told me, when you save the best for last, it really pays off. I started in the early 90s because of this woman making me feel comfortable at her poetry readings at Claire de Lune's on the corner of 30th and University in North Park. And she built this poetry reading too. That's what you did on Tuesday night if you were a poet in San Diego, and if you wanted to listen to poets in San Diego. There would be there would be standing room only, no seats. There would be people on the outside doing all kinds of social justice talk because of this lady. And then she had to go to Seattle, and another man named Mark Kolkano kept up her vibe. And then there was some politics that ended the poetry reading because of just some stuff about the owner not wanting to have profanity, and then it ended. But this lady started it all. This is the very talented Cheryl Lateef.
Thank you. You always humble me with your introduction. You know, the thing about Claire de Lune was it was so much fun. I mean, really, it was just fun. And I was astounded at how popular it became. You know, I don't know how it happened that we had 100 people or more every Tuesday in the house. But the thing I was most proud of was it was the most my brain isn't working right now. The most diverse reading in the city. People of all ages, people of all races. It was amazing. And I mean, for me, it was amazing. So I love it that, you know, people enjoyed it, and that it was what it was for you, Jim, and everybody else. So I'm going to read two poems today. The first one, some of you, I think, have heard. It's an older poem, and forgive me, I'm working on. Hang on. I'm working on my computer away from my desk because it's actually been snowing here. Yeah, for about 2 or 3 days, and I was at my desk yesterday working on something, and I just got so cold I couldn't even handle it. So I had to move back to the back of the place, so it wasn't where it was cold. But anyway, this is entitled A Question of Color. 1. Oh wait, hang on a second. I missed something here. I'm so sorry. There's a epigram. Seriously though, bro, regardless of the outcome of this, we have made history and shall die proudly if need be. Gotta go. Much Aryan love. The quote of John William King, one of 3 murderers of James Byrd Jr. in Jasper, Texas. 1. He has blood in his eyes, blood on his hands, made history on the back of a black man. He writes letters, misspells regardless, placing G-U-A-R-D squarely in the middle of the word. How do we guard ourselves from the John William Kings of this world? Bro, he writes, the vernacular of the black man, part of his speech. The irony escapes him. What color is hatred? 2. In the vestibule of a Bronx apartment, a lone West African returns home in the middle of the night. 4 white plainclothes cops surround him. What color is fear? In his hand, a wallet becomes a gun, a gesture, the benediction of death. 41 bullets, 8 seconds. Cops as criminals roaming the streets, blood in their eyes, blood on their hands. 3. In middle America, a high school stands deserted. Echoes of shots fired live in the walls. Heroes and villains have their day. White boys armed and dressed in black, blood in their eyes, blood on their hands. What color is violence? Aryan love, law and order, to protect and serve. The right to bear arms. America has blood in her eyes, blood in her hands, on her hands. What color is justice? Thank you. And this next poem is a little lighter. And
light poems.
well, you know, kind of helps to switch the mood a little bit. I actually started this poem in a workshop that I took with Jim, and it worked on it for a while, and this is what it is now. It's it's called Embracing Grace. I know of grace, am lost in search of that simple way. Amid brambles, hear her song, a whisper, follow the sound toward a new dawn. Or is it merely a dream, familiar yet foreign? My sisters reach for me, save me in spite of myself. Their spirit mine, my spirit theirs. We walk this unknown road to recreate a day long lost, now embraced in joy. As gentle rain embraces this thirsty land, hands reach across prairies, mountains, and seas to once again raise up all. And for me, that it was a piece about moving out of the last 4 years that we've struggled through. So anyway, thank you all.
Thank you, Cheryl. Much appreciated that you're here. I just need to say that I have 2 brain cells left from the 70s, so I forget a lot. And sometimes I'm on Zoom all day long teaching. I'm 73 now, and so I'm just being real careful. And so I'll leave here after being on Zoom all day, and it's nighttime, and I'll just go drive across the Coronado Bridge because it feels like you're on an airplane when you're up above and you see all the lights. And Johnny Renee, who's going to read last, I forgot you because of my 2 brain cells, is like driving across the Coronado Bridge for me. There's lights, sometimes the lights are reflecting on the water, and I feel like I'm flying in that airplane that we can't fly on anymore unless we want to risk getting sick. And so that's the best way I can introduce this poet I have so much respect for. And it's nice to be a poet among poets. You all help me stay sane. And this lady's poem, as you will see, this lady will remind us we're just human beings trying to do the best we can do. This is Johnny Renee Nelson.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. And I want to say happy belated birthday. If you're 73 already, I know you've already had your birthday this year. I can keep up with your age. I found a poem in Positive Passage, Everyday Kwanzaa Poem. So it's not really a Kwanzaa poem, but I think it's very appropriate for Black History Month. I have a problem with people sometimes talking about the African slaves because the Africans weren't slaves when they were captured. You know, they were brothers and architects and healers and musicians. They had identities, they had families. So even in celebrating Black History Month, I want us to just take a moment to go way back. So I want to share this poem, and it's called From the Motherland to the Maya Land. From the motherland to the Maya land, we came before Columbus. And where the pyramids pierced the skies is where our architecture relies. Their efforts to keep the truth from us. The Africans and the Aztecs, both architects of cultural links, created monuments now as mysterious as the riddle of the Sphinx. There are few places in this world where pyramids can be found, where guanine from African spears lay buried in the ground. We were a seafaring people who knew that the earth wasn't flat, who had advanced science and technology, and based upon that, came to the shores of this hemisphere many, many times in our own vessels, in our own ships. We came as traders, not as conquerors, with maps created by African minds and drawn by African fingertips. From the motherland to the Maya land, we came before Columbus. And lest we lose our truth, we must teach our youth the truth that they for so long kept from us, that we came 3,000 plus years before Columbus. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny Renee. So we have come to the end of our day today, but I'm going to read one more poem to close us out. And I want you to know that we do have this tradition here, besides passing the hat, of hanging out after we're finished with the poetry and talking. So I'm going to stay on. I'm not going to close this out, and I'm going to stay on. If you want to talk to Sojourner, or if Sojourner, if you can hang out a little bit longer, that would be really cool. And if you need to go, we understand. But I want to end with two poems by my students in Juvenile Hall. There's 60 of them in this issue of the San Diego Poetry Annual. Because of the COVID, I had to teach less. So this edition that will be coming out March 15th, we'll only have about 35. But I'd like you to hear a poem by Donald, who's a young African-American student who, if he wasn't already in the family, I would adopt him. And I think you'll see why from his poem. Broken People Cause Broken Streets is the name of the poem. In my streets, I see broken people who beg for what they want, broken people who gamble for what they want, broken people who steal for what they want, broken people who sell drugs to children to get what they want, broken people who can't think correctly because of the things they wanted. And most importantly, broken people who are afraid to succeed so they don't have to beg, gamble, and steal, or sell drugs to children to get what they want. The broken people in my streets are so convinced that they can't live without any of the broken ways to get what they want. It's as if everyone in my streets have been brainwashed and left with only broken mindsets and empty souls. It's as if all the knowledge in these people has been wiped away by a nuclear wave. It's as if everyone in my streets has developed Alzheimer's disease and can't remember what they wanted to be in life and what real success is. It's as if everyone in my streets had turned into zombies. This whole time I've been seeing zombies in my streets who were once people but couldn't escape these toxic streets in time. My streets aren't broken. It's the people in them that cause my streets to be broken. Broken people cause broken streets. My kids in Juvenile Hall, I see them on the streets after they get out. And I've just never been disrespected. Sometimes I go, Poet Jim, and they come over because I tell them when they're in lockup, you see me on the streets, come over and shake my hand. It'll make my day to know that you're free. So they come over and they shake my hand. And sometimes they can't remember my name. So they go like this because they snap instead of clap in juvenile hall. And that's what the youth like to do. And so this last poem I wanted to read, if I can find it. Hold on just a second. It's another African-American student. This is a really short poem. I hope I can find it. I just had it, now I've lost it. But I love my kids in juvenile hall. 95% of them don't belong there. There's 5% that they're on the way to the big house because those streets that are broken have made them real hard already, and they're really young. And you can just see it. But the new public housing for youth is juvenile hall, which I think is a crime. Juvenile justice is broken. Don't see very many white kids in there, but I see a lot of kids of color. And so I can't find his poem now, but I'd like to read a different poem if I can find it. It's called Hate Don't Change Me, and how a young person who deals with prejudice and racism refuses to change himself. So one of the two I'm going to find, if you just give me a second here. There's 65 of these young people in here, which I'm very proud of.
Enjoyed this video. Don't forget to
Jen?
Yes.
Jen, can you have Rodroll mute the microphone?
Do I have what?
Could you have Rodroll, it looks like, in the participants mute their microphone?
Rodroll, yes.
Rodrolle. Can you ask them to mute their microphone?
I asked if that person wanted to read, and they didn't respond.
Okay.
So now that Dolores is calling your name out, do you want to read, Rodroll? Well, that would be the poem we would end with then. Do you want to read?
I think that's Sojourner. I think that's Sojourner.
Oh, is that Sojourner? Is that you, Rodroll? She's SK Rolle. That's not Sojourner.
And Sojourner, you're muted.
So I found Jennifer's poem. We'll end with Jennifer's poem, and we're going to hang out if you want to. Here we go. This is When My Government Locks Kids Up in Cages, and this is Jennifer Q. First of all, I don't know who would even think it's worth wages. It's so hard to even think about my siblings in there without a thing. It's inhumane. Donald is insane, not made to lead. Someone make him leave. Poor kids, I'm sure some can't even sleep. Who do they go to when they wet the bed with the nightmare they're living? I wouldn't judge because it makes sense. Someone make it stop. These kids need their pops or their mama. At least someone who can give them a little loving. Let's pray for these kids and get Donald out of office. That's why when Sojourner says she focuses on the truth, on the kids, on the youth, that's what we need to do too. So thank you. It's nice to be a poet among you poets. Can we give Sojourner some more love, please? My goodness gracious. Thank you for all your service. Thank you so much.
Some love back because I'm just one of the many, and I appreciate being a poet in this time. Someone asked me not too long ago, what did I like much something, but my response was that one of the things I like, and I might have seen somebody else said this, but I liked it, that I'm able to see who I have become. I am very pleased that I've been able to grow into being a poet and to have that to be my main endeavor in life, and that I think the other thing is to be not afraid to speak my truth. So I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone who gathers in the name of poetry, and everyone who writes, and everyone who listens and loves. We're a poetry loving humanity, really. Even people who don't claim it out loud. You know, poetry does something for people, to people. It is a fine art.
You say hang out. I want to commend you guys for bringing the poetry into the schools, because I have a granddaughter who's editor-in-chief of her newspaper now and is planning, applying to colleges. She'll be graduating this year. But she started out by writing poetry in 5th grade and has won awards for it. And it's all from this program, because, it's just gone all over the state, and it's marvelous. And she never would have written the poetry without such an organization. So I really appreciate it. And, she's inspired me so much. So it's really been great. So I want to thank you for that and for all your words. Just great. Great day, everybody.
Thank you.
I feel so humbled to be among all of you.
Me too.
You need to know is I'm 80 years old and I learn something new every single day.
Yep.
Yep. Never have guessed that you're 80 years old.
Thanks for making me feel like a puppy. I appreciate it.
You're my puppy. I'm going to be in your workshop next week.
Me too.
Yeah. Are you going to be there, Cheryl?
I have to look at my calendar, but hopefully, yes.
Oh, good. That'll be great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good to see everybody. Take care. Gotta go.
All right. Well, Jim, I'm going to have to go soon too, because fortunately for me, I have another event this evening, and I've got to turn my attention to that. So I really have enjoyed being here today, and I feel honored, and I feel like it was worthwhile. It's something for me, and I've been trying to do a Zoom poetry reading ever since we started with this Zoom life, and I have been so busy with other tasks that I haven't organized one. So your inviting me has given me a great opportunity to have a reading online. I appreciate it.
If you need help on the Zoom stuff, I'll send you my tech help. His name is Alfred, and
I was gonna say, I don't know.
he's a genius, and he's very generous. So I'll send you that. I'll email you his particulars.
Okay, thank you. That would be great. Yeah.
Sojourner, before you go, without giving away too much or saying too much, your poem about violence in the schools.
Yes.
As an educator, it haunts you to be on a campus with a live shooter. It haunts you for years. And that's all I'm going. You get my misdirection. You got it. Thank you. Thank you for that poem.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
I taught junior high general science in Watts back in the 60s. And we had a shooting on campus and it didn't even make the newspaper.
Yeah.
We were pulling kids into our classrooms and having them put underneath the.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a poem.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, once you wake up, though, I mean, I think we've been brought to some sort of attention to all of this from the events over the last years in terms of these, this malfeasance against the schools and against kids. But I think we've been brought to attention to a point where I hope that we have some counteractives in place, that sort of mitigate some of this. I mean, it can't just continue. And it's an interesting, I guess now we're not in school is why we haven't had one this year. Maybe, I don't know, but at least we're paying attention.
Yeah, there was a minor one. I'd have to look it up in the news again, but there was a minor one of a school that was still in session. But, no major ones because of, as you say, the COVID. I have a piece that I did yesterday. If people don't get the coded language, they don't get it. But Barbara, I think you got it. And especially our ex-educator in chief who resigned before the end of 45's tenure. It was aimed directly at that. You call something a charter school, but when you leave children and faculty as if they were sludge and waste to drown together, it's yeah. So thank you. It brought back. I appreciate that poem. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it looks like neither one of us wants to be the first to say goodbye, but I've got to go. So thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Be safe,
Thank you.
Sojourner.
Mhm.